Om Shanti Shambhu Mahadev Mahadev Om. So in the previous Shloka 10, we described about the success, failure, and competition, comparison. Also about Jaya, Vijaya, things like that. And the ego rising in us because of all these. The ultimate result was found that in a person the ego of increases. Anything that we do should not increase our ego, which will obstruct our normal functioning of life. Because the moment the ego increases in us, it is like a veil for the karmas to be executed in the right manner. The dharma will be veiled if the ego increases. Identification of dharma, recognition of dharma, realization of dharma will be veiled, covered when the ego increases. When the ego increases, then the analytical mind or the intellect will also stop functioning. It will be the ego who will be functioning then, which has got a limitation, which has got a limited knowledge, which has been created by an activity of a particular purpose. Once that takes over, then it will think that, okay, I can handle everything. Suppose somebody has been, I have told some of these examples, but still I would like to continue a little more on that to make much more clearer. Suppose we have been successful and we have been victorious in a particular activity, let us say an examination or an interview or acquiring something. We are extremely happy and our mind will stop functioning of any other activities. We can even think now. You see, what will happen? The mind will be only focusing on that. And when we see anyone and everyone, we will say that, look, I have got this recognition, I have got this, I have achieved this, I have achieved this. And we would like to publish it in the newspaper, in the television, wherever it is possible by us. No? The boosting up of ego is so high that we will go to any extent. All our activities will be blocked by this. And the mind will start misunderstanding that he should understand that, okay, you have been victorious on this particular incident, no doubt about it. But what will happen? The mind will start recognizing that I am victorious in this, will be forgotten, in this will be taken out. It will only take the picture of I am victorious, I am successful. He will not say I have been successful in the examination, I have been successful in the interview, I have been successful in acquiring this wealth, I got a lottery, I got this, acquiring this wealth, I have acquired this. But that part will be, no, that's only for a particular incident, particular matter, particular object which is perishable, which can be exhausted at any moment of time. This factor and this fact will be forgotten by the mind. The mind is elated to that extent that it will start thinking that I am the one who is maximum capable of doing everything, and will function based on that misunderstanding by the mind, is it not? For at least for few days you will find that we are at a height, because I have been class 1, I have been this, I have been that, I have been that. It may prolong for some people depending upon the incidents. For some people it will prolong. Suppose somebody has acquired a position of a great position in the government, great position in the status, great position in the wealth, great position, that will linger on now. And to keep that, in position of that status, he will do all sorts of unwanted things. Only to keep up that ego, is it not? We are seeing it. We are seeing it in politics. We are seeing it in government positions. We are seeing it in jobs, in ordinary jobs, even in organizations, in the corporate sector. There is a heavy politics in order to keep up their position, safe. Just for that, how much damages they create. When I said damages not only for the others, but damages for the self. He will never progress after that. What happens? He is stuck because of this activity of the mind, which thinks that I am the most successful person. But it has not been left out that if the mind can be understood that I have been successful in this particular activity, then the ego will be very less. Only to that extent it will be there. So this understanding is missing in many of the people. Utilizing that in the right manner is not there. Is why the ego goes high. We think that we are the supreme. I have achieved this thing. Oh, I am the supreme. Okay. Even it is there in the spiritual, even people who have not completely matured enough to handle to control the indriyas and manner in the right manner, even in those people who have not attained certain things and they have attained the positions, they will have this ego. You will find many of them are like that. They will start thinking that they are the gods. You see, that will come to that. We have seen, at least I have seen, of course, many people that they have forgotten that who they are because their ego of achievement. I don't deny that in particular field, particular activity, they have achieved something, no doubt. But that achievement is only temporary and for some time, and it is perishable. This fact has not been transmitted to them, that humbleness is lost, that truth is lost, and they will start will behave like that one who is overall successful. No man can be successful in everything in this world. Is it possible? In something or other, we may, one or two things we may be successful, but that should not be related to that. This is how we increase our ego, we boost up our ego, and then we start misunderstanding our capability of that particular thing. And then this is how we misunderstand the incidents, and then we start committing mistakes. Not only mistakes, we start committing gradually, initially the mistakes, then we committing sins. It will be transferred to sins. They become powerful. Initially the power will be used in order to keep their position safe. Then they will start using the position in order to create sin. Is it not? We see in our life throughout in this one. Why is that? It is because at one point of time, when they crush down, it will be just below everybody's feet. This is what happens. Why this is happening? It's because it's the ego. It's the bubble filled with the air that is bloating up. A day will come when that air goes off the bubble. The bubble is no more seen, visible anywhere. It's all gone. It's water bubbles, like that. They are the water bubbles. The ego is like a water bubble. And it will be gone at any moment of time. A small disturbance, a small pinprick. Finish it. I am a big artist, I am so and so, I am so and so, I am an owner of such and such, so much of property, I am the head of state of so and so, and I am wealthy, I am number one wealthiest man in the world. What happened to all of them? Could they remain number one always? Somebody took over as number one. See, why they are all temporary? Doesn't matter. Let them be number one. But that should not go into the mind and say that, look, I am everything. No. That ego boost up should not be there. Identification to that extent only should be limited. For that, we need enormous control of mind and the indriyas. If I do not have the jnanam, knowledge, to understand this, if I don't have the jnanam to understand this, I will not be in a position to control my mind, which is going wrong ways and misconceptions, and I will not be able to control my indriyas. It's not possible. That's why in the Vedanta, they say that yama, Ashtanga Yoga, yama is nasiddha. Yama is that control of the mind. Niyama is the control of indriyas. Yama, niyama. And only asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyanam, samadhi, they come to. Yama is necessary. Yes. Ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, brahmacharyam, aparigraham. This is the yama. Through this yama, only one has to identify, one has to control oneself. The mind should be purified, the mind should be controlled only through this ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, brahmacharyam, aparigraham or ishvara pranidhanam. It is one of this. This is what is necessary for making the mind absolutely understand. Then only that humbleness of me will be there. We will know that I am nothing. It is the Antakarana, it is the Parabrahman which is everything, and it is the Paramatma everything. So, incidentally, I suddenly remember about the one Purana story which we all know very well, but I would like to compare it with this incident or this continuation of our subject. Bhagavan Vishnu's, in Bhagavatam it is mentioned, Bhagavan Vishnu's Dwarapalakas are Jaya, Vijaya. Why their name is like that, Jaya, Vijaya? There's a reason behind it. No. Now you can, maybe little bit of linking you must be doing it now. Jaya, Vijaya. See, with a reason. First of all, does a Bhagavan require a watchman at the gate? Is one question. Is it necessary? No. But Bhagavata mentions that Ishvara doesn't require anyone. It is not because he is not an individual, but there it is Mahavishnu has been identified, personified as an individual, okay, for the story purpose. So let us understand it through the story. Well, when I go to Vedanta and Tattvajnanam, there is no form and shape of the God. Then where is the question of Dwarapalakas? This question can come. So let us not go into that. I am going into I want to take it as an example for our Jaya, Vijaya and ego of ours. No? That's why I am going into that. So let us presume that Bhagavan Vishnu is there, and this Dwarapalaka, even though Bhagavan Vishnu doesn't require Dwarapalakas, but there is mentioned in Purana, it is mentioned, Vedavyasa has mentioned it, it is Jaya, Vijaya. What is the reason behind this story? And Jaya, Vijaya was the Dwarapalakas. A story I'll tell you in short, and then we will go to the comparison with the truth. When Jaya Vijaya, one day they were doing the parade in front of the gate, the Sanagadis come there. Sanagadis are Sanat, Sanandan, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar. They are the four Vedas. Actually, they are four knowledges. They are not Rishis, but it has been depicted as Rishis. These Rishis are four Vedas. Highest knowledge. Four Vedas together means what? Absolute consciousness, absolute knowledge. This absolute knowledge, four of them, Sanagadis, they come to visit Bhagavan, the highest consciousness. In order to, for what? Just to pay respects. Okay? Now, we will have to explain everything in the comparison. So you must understand what is the story. Then it will be very interesting. These Sanagadis, the knowledge, will have to go to the Bhagavan in order to pay respects, nothing else other than what else? To take Ashirvad or to pay respects or Ashirvad, we call it to take Ashirvad. So to pay respects. But Jaya Vijaya being the Dwarapalakas of Bhagwan, they could not recognize, the story says, they could not recognize Sanakadis, these four Vedas, absolute knowledge, top of the world and everyone, no, top of every knowledge. They are the highest form of that. They went to visit them. So then the Jaya Vijaya said, no, you cannot be permitted inside. Why? Because Bhagwan is resting. Is the reason what he has told. Probably you must be remembering the story. But I am telling in point-wise detail. That Bhagwan is resting, so you cannot visit now. You have to wait. Let's see, who is that?
I don't know.
Sanagadis were denied entry, permit was not there. So the story says, they have told that, look, we are Sanagadis, we are the great rishis, we would like to pay our respects to Bhagwan. Whatever said and done, they were very honest. They thought they are very honest and they are very sincere. They said that nothing doing, so long we are the Dwarapalakas, you will not be in a position, you will not be able to get in. Ultimately, the knowledge of the Sanagadis got annoyed, they cursed them. Big curse to that you people will go into the Manushi, the Asura Yonis and will take birth. Because you are not fit for being the Dwarapalakas here, so the Sanagadis cursed. Then Bhagwan wakes up and he comes after that. Then he asked for the detail. Then this is the happening. Then he also said that, look, now they having cursed you, I cannot revive you from that. Yes, but only thing I can modify it. This curse will be applicable for you for 3 janmas. After 3, in every janma, in every janma, I will be the one who will be killing you, who will be destroying you, so that there is a principle that whomever Bhagwan slays, they will merge in Lord. This thing, even Ram kills this one, same way. So Bhagwan, whomever he slays, they will merge in the God. So they wanted to, Bhagwan wanted these people should be brought into him and do layam in him. And so he said that this curse of permanent being in the Asura Yoni and being there, we will modify it to that extent. So the curse has been modified. Sanagadis have gone back and paid respect, gone back, and then this Jaya Vijaya were born as, the first is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Then comes Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Third Janma is Shishupala and Dantavaktra. These are the 3 Janmas they have taken. And you will find in all the 3, Bhagwan is the one who is killing. One is Bhagwan Narasimha, next is Ram, next is Krishna. These are the 3 Bhagwans who are killing, and then they finish the story. So now, this is the story. Now, is it not? A child can ask, or somebody who can ask, is it not something very funny, why Bhagwan needs, like questions like told, why Bhagwan needs a Dwarapalaka? If he is a Dwarapalaka, why he should be so ignorant about it? And if Sanagadis are so great rishis, why they should curse? Things like that. There may be hundreds of questions in that story, no doubt about it. Logically and spiritually, when you discuss, you will find everything has to be scrapped and come to something else. Yes, but why this has been told by a great man? It's not me and you who has told this. This has been told by Bhagwan Vedavyasa himself, you see. So it's not a small thing. That means there is something behind it. We should understand that. What is the meaning of it through Bhagavatam? Through this story, in small way. Only this incident we will take out. and compare with our subject. As I told you last time, Jaya Vijaya. Why the names are Jaya Vijaya? Jaya Vijaya is that they think they are these, the Dwarapalakas of the absolute, of the world, the highest form of the God, that Bhagavan Vishnu's Dwarapalakas. So they thought they are the supreme of this. Without their permission, nobody can go in. But he has never thought that he has been kept only for the facility of the negativities or the wrong people going inside. Dwaraka Palakas are meant, watchman is meant for what? Not for restricting our father and mother getting into the house. Am I right? He has been kept for some other strangers who come, they should stop it. But when my father comes, you cannot stop him, isn't it? He has to be let in. This has to be understood by the Dwarapalakas. The purpose of Dwarapalakas is not for what? For the ones who are strangers, who are not permitted to be with the Bhagavan, should be restricted. That is why the purpose of Dwarapalakas. Whereas what Yamadeva has done, he has stopped the people who are supposed to visit him. Okay? It's not the duty of Dwarapalakas. So that's the duty of Dwarapalakas, or the watchman, what we call. Now let us come back to. So you understand the situation. That's very well. We come back to us, our consciousness. What is Bhagavan Vishnu here? Our higher consciousness. The higher consciousness is the Atma, the absolute Jnana, Atma Jnana. Everything is functioning for Atma Jnana. And don't literally translate everything, but let us draw an inference here. Let us bring that same story here, say a replica of that. Suppose the Dwarapalakas here are like Jaya Vijaya. What is Jaya Vijaya? The name of Jaya and Vijaya are nothing but ego. Is it not? That I am so and so. Because I have been successful, I am victorious, I am this, I am that, I am that. Is it Jaya and Vijaya? Both are same. Jaya is also same. Vijaya is also same. It's like that, rhyming of some words are there. We always say that. Ana Jana and all that. It's not Ana Jana together. Ana Jana karte rehta hai. Things like that. Like that, Jaya, Vijaya. Both are same. Jaya is also same meaning. Vijaya is also same meaning. If Jaya Vijaya is the Dwarapalakas, our consciousness, that means if our egos of our consciousness, what will happen? It will not allow the good positivity or the what we call Sakaratmakta or positivity to enter into experiencing into Udana and going into the highest consciousness in order to absorb our mind and Sharira. The Mana and the Sharira is the one which is creating this ego for the purpose of the happiness of the Sharira and Mana. So this Jaya Vijaya in us are the ones which are created by us for the purpose of the happiness of the Sharira and Mana, through the Indriyas and Mana, which is no multiplying thoughts, imaginary thoughts, which is not, there is no facts and figures in that. Because of this, the ego boost-up has been created. Because of that ego boost-up, what happened? We have created this Jaya Vijaya in us. So long this Jaya Vijaya who are ignorant, who are not conscious, they have been kept, as I told you, this Jaya Vijaya in us have been kept only for a particular purpose, for a particular cause. And this Jaya Vijaya is not to be completely misunderstood as the blockage of entry of the karma bhalas in positivity in order to promote our mind and sharira and exhaust our karmas and take us to the liberation and take us to the Brahmajnanam or Brahmatattvam, or to have layam with the Brahman. Instead, what happened? We blocked. Why we are born? We are born in order to exhaust our karmas. During the process of exhausting our karmas, when we walk through the jnanam, the Saragadis who are there, Sanat, Sanatan, Sanatan, Sanat Kumara has started to be in us. We have to learn all that. So when we are learning that Saragadis, that means Vedas, the knowledge of the myth, that means knowledge. When we acquire this knowledge, we should allow this knowledge to go into our Atma. Then only we will get liberated from this Sharira and Mana, is it not? So when we have Sharira and Mana, we have to pay respects to the, like Sanagadis have to pay respects to Mahavishnu, we have to pay respects to the higher consciousness. How do we pay respects to the higher consciousness, this body and mind? Through acquiring knowledge and toning up our Sharira and Mana and Indriyas into the representative of absolute knowledge. When we function in the basis of the knowledge of Vit, that means Vedas, Sanagatis, in the Vedas, our functions and our karmas and karma bhalas will be absolutely through the process of the Vit, Vedam, knowledge, through the knowledge. Through that we acquire liberation from the Sharira and Mana, from the activities of the Indriyas or activities of the karma bhalas. From there we gain it, and then in the form of Maharishis, that means four Maharishis, Sanagatis, that means we attain that Rishitva through the knowledge, then we approach our higher consciousness and we get liberated, paying respects to the God. No, Sanagadis paying respects to Vishnu, the Sharira, Indriya, Mana paying respects to higher consciousness through the knowledge. Yes, we should allow that. And if we have trained ourselves in order to do this practice, that means through the Vedas, through the knowledge, through the Upanishads, through the Satsanga, through the Gurus, through the Ashirvadam, when we mold our mind and the Indriyas in order to function through the process of the Vit, that knowledge, what happens? We will be straight away functioning like Sanagadis, that means the Rishis of the four Vedas, and they can visit Bhagavan at any point of time. Bhagavan, he said, Bhagavan is resting, so you are not allowed. So what is the sequence and significance of that? What does it represent here? Representation is that Sanagadis can visit Bhagavan even when he is sleeping, when he is resting, is the meaning of it. Do you think that since if Vijaya, Jaya and Vijaya knows that he is resting, don't you think that the great knowledgeable, absolute high, the one who has attained the peak of the higher consciousness, who are these, the four Vedas, the Sanagadis, don't you think that they know that Bhagavan is resting, if it is resting? No. The knowledge is, that means they have got the authority. Who? These knowledges have got the authorities. The Sanagadis have got the authority. Even though it is not a truth, but even when this consciousness, higher consciousness is resting, even then also the knowledge has got permission to visit, has got authority to, not permission, authority to visit. So in us, when we develop these knowledges in us, in the Vedic Vedas and Upanishad through studies, and we attain that Rishitva like Sanagadis, we always are eligible to attain the higher consciousness at any point of time, is the meaning of resting. Actually, Bhagavan is not sleeping or resting. Resting in the sense that is only to superlative, to make you conscious that even when suppose the Bhagavan is resting, it is only an imagination. Bhagavan doesn't know, there is no question of rest there. But it has been specified that even if that is the condition, Bhagavan, when he comes out, he says that Sanagadis are always, they can travel all over the world at any point of time without anybody's permission. Knowledge can go anywhere and anywhere, will fit into any place, will fit into anywhere without anybody's permission. So who are you to stop him? Who are they? They are the egos. Why did the great so? In us also, in order to attain the absolute the liberation, absolute layam with the higher consciousness, the knowledge in us will be in a position to attain that. But what happened here? Here, when you have created this knowledge in you, you have created through tapasya, through the studies of Vedas, Upanishads and Gurus, Ashirvad, and then tapasya and things like that, you attain that. But suddenly what happened? You have created Jaya Vijaya also there. And this Jaya Vijaya stops you from going to the higher consciousness. The ego in you stops you going to layam, to have the higher consciousness. You don't have the liberation. You get stuck in that indriyas and the mana and the activities of the materialism, and forgetting the spirituality of it, you get stuck by that, is the literally meaning of it. Then what should be done? Like the Sanakadis have done. Sanakadis are permitted to travel anywhere and anywhere without anybody's permission. The knowledge in me, the knowledge that I have acquired through the studies of the Vedanta, Veda, Upanishad, and then the Ashirvada of Bhagavan, through tapasya I have attained the powers of that. I am eligible to travel anywhere and everywhere. Nobody can stop me. If my ego is stopping me, because I have created an ego, if my ego is stopping me, what should I do? Like the Sanagadis did, I should curse my ego. That's what is the curse? Go. What is the curse? Go and be born in the Asura Yoni. You are only eligible for that because you are ignorant. So our ego should be brought down to Asura Yoni to be born in the Janmas is why. That means our ego should be made, bringing into Asura Yoni means that such activities of ours should be forgotten and should be brought down, because in Asura Yoni means in the Tamoguna you should be doing this. And from the Tamoguna, 3 yuga, what is the 3 Janmas? They said that you will be born into 3 Janmas. In all 3 Janmas I will save you. Same way, you take 3 Janmas. When you have the Jaya Vijaya as Dwarapalagas of your consciousness, you also take 3 Janmas in order to attain that. What is that 3 Janmas? What is the Janmas representing? 3 Janmas are 3 Gunas. Asura Yoni is Tamo Guna. So first you will be born into Tamo Guna. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. In Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, absolute ego. No? Hiranyakashipu, he said, I am the king. You pray me as a king. Bhagavan is not there. No. Is that second? Okay. Second one is Rajo Guna. So in Tamo Guna, Narasimha can say. That means, okay, his ego is that. So one ego, that means the maximum ego in the Tamo Guna. Next they are born into Rajo Guna. Who are that? Ravana and Vibhishna, very educated person. No? And the Raja knows everything, does everything. Very lot of things are there. There is Rajo Guna, but even though he is a cruel man, but he has got Rajo Guna. So he kills Rajo Guna also. No? Then Sato Guna. Oh, Shishupala and this one. He is in constant association with Lord Krishna from the beginning. Shishupala. No? Even his sister is married also to him. So here it is Sato Guna. Because constant, he had been directly abusing Krishna, sitting in the equal position. In all other things, what will happen? Hiranyakashipu proclaimed that he is equal to him, but he has not seen him. He is equal to him. So Narasimha has killed him. In second Ravana, he has been educated. He doesn't know Ram. No? He doesn't know Ram, but even though he is educated. Rajoguna, in Rajoguna what happens? We forget about the Satoguna. We forget about the tapasya and the good karmas that we have to do through spirituality, but only we are concentrating only in our normal activities and winning over the normal activities. He will always be winning over. He has won over everything. In Rajoguna he was a very successful man, Ravana. But he did not know Bhagavan actually. Even when Bhagavan came in front of him, because of his Rajoguna in him, he could not recognize Bhagavan. Rajogunis are such that even if a Maharishi or a Mahaguru stands in presence of him, he doesn't understand him. But he is drunk with that. So, in the Rajoguna. Third one is Satoguni. Even though he is in constant association with Krishna from the beginning. No? Got my point? This is why 3 gunas, 3 janmas. So 3 janmas, we have to take these 3 janmas, starting from the Tamoguna, when we have got Ahankara, when you have got ignorance like Jaya, Vijaya, that small Jaya, Vijaya, what happened? I bought one house. And that ego has brought into him what happened now? What is the result of it? I'm exaggerating. What is the result of it? Even though I had been practicing in that house about the spirituality and puja, worship and this, that and all that, because I have, but inside me is there, oh, even Bhagavan is sitting inside my house. No? My puja room. I have to do this, I have to do that. Room should be absolutely wonderful. I know so many, I won't name the people because I know I go to many places now for healing and all. Some people are there, they have got absolutely air conditioned, carpeted, no doubt about it, very nice. So I asked him some time back, that they have made a special mandir in the area. They have got a big plot and all that. So attached to the house, and mandir is there, and absolutely 2 ton, 4 tons of air conditioner, and then Bhagavan statue carpeted and all that, and all sorts of decoration. What is it? The walls are decorated with that. I don't know. Geeta knows better than me. She can tell you what all the things come on the wall. Like the design and all that, painted Asian paints and all that has been done. And they showed me because I went there. They know I got a little bit of inclination to Bhagavan. They thought I'll be very impressed. So they took me there. See what all I done. I said, hi, wonderful. I said, excellent. So he was not satisfied with my comment that it is beautiful and very nice. Dekhiye, Guruji, when we are all there, we are all sitting in the air conditioner, how can I leave Bhagavan in this hot summer of Calcutta? No. So we have to have air conditioner for him also. But he doesn't know that what is he doing is that air conditioner is meant for him. When he sits on the puja, he should not sweat. Otherwise, throughout the life, he is sweating only. Even when he is in air conditioner, he doesn't know. Fellow is sweating only to live. You see? And he tells me that Bhagavan needs air conditioner. So we all see that, no? There are a lot of people, they do that. And when winter comes, they will put blanket around Bhagavan Shiv. And Bhagavan Shiv sits on Himalayas. Tell me honestly, Himagiri, he is sitting on tip of the ice. And here people put blanket around that poor Bhagavan. So I'm just joking, okay, please. What I saw, I just, it reflects. I cannot relate it, that's why I just tell this as joke. So what happens? This ego, when it comes to us, now when we create this ego, because of that's how I started. Because of this achievement in our life, we think that we are so high, and then created that ego and created that Dwarapalikas are Jaya, Vijaya. Not allowing our absolute knowledge is there. Our trial is there, our experience is there, and we have got all efforts we have done, but unfortunately what happened? Through that efforts that what you have created, more than that efforts or along with that efforts, we have created such an ego that they became our Dwarapalikas, our consciousness Dwarapalikas. Same way in us when we create, as I told you, that will be the moral boost and what is the ego boost up I have talked in the last class. You see, what is that boost up? That I myself have created an obstacle for my own progress, my own layam into the highest consciousness. To have that, attain that highest consciousness, we have attained this, we have created this, we would like to attain that higher consciousness, but what happened? Because of the ego, we have stopped the entry into the highest consciousness. So it is absolutely, remember, that's why I told about the boosting up of ego. Doesn't matter, we will have victories, small victories in our life, and lot of failures in our life, lot of victories in our life. But as we are not considering the failure as important and forgetting about it, learning from that, and there is a proverb that we learn from the failures. But why people have not told that we also learn from the victory? No? We should learn, is it not? What is the learning there? The learning there from the victory, as when I say learning from the failure, learning from victory also should come. Learning from the way failure is because I have done a mistake, I have failed. I have victory is that because I have done something good, I have successful. But this realization has to come. Once it is realized what happened, I will not attach it to the whole unit of me or the whole function of me, the whole karma of me. It will not be taken care. It will be taken only that, okay, I have been victorious in this one. I have been successful. God's grace. Hey Ishwar, bahut dhanyavad. Thank you very much for having provided this facility to me. Thanks very much. Let us forget about that karma, go to the next karma. To that extent that's why we say for everything we should be thanking God. That's the purpose of praying. In the temples, the system is there, we have created from childhood, that whenever something happens, we go and pray to the temple and say that, okay, ek deeparadhana karo, ya what is that, archana karo, yeah, one day's puja you do, or one this, what is it, vow is there. What is the meaning of that? You see, that means when you are successful, when you are victorious, it is because of Ishvara Pranidhanam this has happened, and he has shown me that success, and I have attained that success in that, no doubt about it, you have attained that success, but that should not be converted into my ego. That success is meant for a particular cause. My daughter should get married, somebody did vow, okay, once she gets married, I will go and give such and such thing in the temple. Good, nothing wrong, okay. And once the marriage is done and he goes and gives it, while he gives it, you should know that it is not because of his effort or because of somebody's capability, that the highest consciousness or the highest energy, it is, or Bhagavan Ishvara has blessed him in order to fulfill that particular karma. Be thankful, but not when you are being thankful. And when you pray and when you surrender, your ego will be submissive. That's why we have a system in our community, that system, that when we have something done, we thank God. We go and do something in the temple, in the sense, thank God. That means even if you think in your mind and pray in the house, that is good enough. But what happened? When you do an activity, when you do an action, you are conscious about it, that much of education is not there in everyone. So what happened? Oh, hey Bhagavan, you have given me this. Because of you, I have attained this victory. So I submit this small, my pranams to you. I cannot give you more than this, so I give you this. So I submit it and take your Ashirvad. By that what happens? He shifts the ego responsibility to Bhagavan. I have not done it, hey Bhagavan, because of your blessing, this has happened. So what happened? I did not allow my victory to create an ego inside me. Is the purpose of praying. But today, even after praying, they say that, hey Bhagavan, there also he says, prayer style also has changed. Bhagavan, I did definitely no doubt about 10 years back, so many people are there, they vow, okay, after that this will happen. Then what happened? He could not get time. He said that I will do once this has happened, and that has happened. He did not get time. He has kept it postponed. Then whenever he gets time, after 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, he goes and gives that, hey Bhagavan, 10 years back I told you, and that has happened. Now take it. Now what happened? There also ego has been created. It's not a surrender. The moment it has happened, the next activity, immediately after that, the next activity in your life should be thanking the Lord. As soon as it has happened. This is called that, then only your ego is not created. Otherwise what happened? All these 10 years you did create Jaya Vijaya. Then after 10 years, by the time you come, Jaya Vijaya has eaten enough and did exercise and he has grown very strong, Dwara Balaka. Is it not? I'm just comparing this. Is it not? So I have done it. 10 साल पहले किया था, लेकिन हम कर दिया. And also you will tell 10 people, look, I have already done, finished. When did you do? After 10 years. What happened? Your ego has already boosted up. Jaya Vijaya has become, from the child he has become the adult, and he has become big muscular man, Dara Singh already. your ego has grown up like that. Do you understand what I am saying? So this Jaya Vijaya, through the generations, that means 3 Janmas, Rajo, Rajo and Tamo Guna, when we have to pass through, then only we will be in a position to attain again the Turiya Avastha. So constantly Bhagavan will kill in all the slay, he will slay all the 3 Janmas, he will slay you, then only you attain the Bhagavan, he said. What does it mean? That means even when you are in Tamoguna, in Rajoguna, as well as in Satoguna, having created your ego and you have brought yourself down to that Tamoguna Janma, you have to put all your efforts and constantly your function, karmas should be only attaining the knowledge, only attaining the efforts to attain the higher consciousness through bhakti or through knowledge or whatever it is. So in every Janma you have to do that. Then only he will be, his slaying means what? Not killing. He is slaying your ignorance and joining you into him. It's called slaying. Slaying of not you, the life of a person, slaying of the ignorance in you. That means, how can he slay the ignorance in you? Slaying of ignorance in you can be done only when you develop knowledge. In Tamoguna you have developed your knowledge, so he slayed your ignorance to that extent, brought you to Rajoguna, and from Rajoguna he brought you to Satoguna, and then here also they slayed, and then when you went to merging to the Lord is why these 3 Janmas, why the curse is for 3 Janmas reduced by? It's because we also have to have attained, this is what is wanted to tell you about the Jaya Vijaya Dwarapalakas. So we are creating Dwarapalakas who are not. Then after that what happens? Jaya Vijaya has merged into it. After slaying what happened to Jaya Vijaya? There are no Dwarapalakas. After that anywhere has he mentioned that Bhagavan Vishnu has got a Dwarapalaka? No. Nowhere it is there. After Jaya Vijaya's slaying is over, for Bhagavan there is no Dwarapalakas. That means he is without them. This itself relates, that means it is only a mention to make us understand this situation. That's all. After that what happened? They merge into the Ishwaratva and then it's nothing more. So this is how the knowledge has to be acquired. That's why, what is the necessity of our learning of these scriptures? Through scriptures we learn Vedas and Upanishads, we learn, then through the Guru we learn, through Bhakti we learn, and no doubt about it, and then through Ashirvada we learn. With all this we should try, constantly we should try, in whichever guna you are, don't worry about it, forget about it, in whichever status you are. Just keep on doing all these things. You will attain one day, so long the Jaya Vijaya is not created in you. The ego boost-up is not created in you, even though it comes to us. We are human beings. It comes to us occasionally, no doubt. Let it come. But immediately, by surrendering to the Guru, surrendering to the God, surrendering to the consciousness, slay that ahankara, slay that ahankara in you. I mean, the ego that is brought into you. Make yourself understand, look, don't get involved in it. Yes, you have been successful, but that was only for this. That doesn't mean that you are supreme of the world. No. बोलते भी है ना, अरे क्या है, इतना ले लिया तो समझता है कि he has become, हम बोलते भी है ना, normal conversation. Somebody has heard it and somebody has become little this one. We say that देखो इतना लिया और इतना किया तो वो सब अपने आप को बहुत बड़ा सोचते हैं. This is what happens. वो अपने आप को बड़ा सोचने लगा. That means he has created that ego in him. That ego should be immediately crushed. It may form. We being human being, we are attached to Maya, we are attached to materialistic world. There may be, every moment it may happen. But then, if every moment it may happen, along with that every moment we surrender to the Lord, surrender to the Guru, surrender to the consciousness, through bhakti and through shraddha and through jnanam, we surrender that immediately. Our ego is diluted immediately. The moment it forms, we dilute it. Again it will form, again dilute it. So what happened? It will not take a permanent seat in your system to block you at one point of time to get the higher consciousness, to have the layam or to complete the karmas and karma phalas. this will not happen, is the classification I wanted. I just incidentally came to my mind, why not I share with you what I thought I just shared. I don't know, there may be mistakes or I don't know what it is. But this is what I just thought I wanted to share. And this is very important field in our life. I felt that it has to be in this simplicity. If we can understand this and then we create our life and we achieve the highest form of it, you see, by understanding this much, we reach the highest form of knowledge, highest form of consciousness we attain. After that, we are in the absolute consciousness, highest consciousness. We don't have to do anything else. This is why I just wanted to share this Jaya Vijaya incident that Trigunas. These are all the incidents. So in each yuga, in each activity, what happened? We call it as this world, Loka. What is Loka? Loka is nothing but what we experience through the Indriyas is our Loka. That's all. The meaning of Loka is nothing. There is no Patala, there is no Swarga, there is no this Loka, nothing. All are when we are in the highest consciousness and absolute spirituality, we are in Swarga Loka. When we are in Tamoguna, we are experiencing Tamogunam, we are in the Patala. No? The Loka is that what you are experiencing through Panchendriya. What you see is your Loka. What you hear is your Loka. What you taste is your Loka. What you do sparsha is your Loka. Shabda sparsha rasa rupa gandha. When you do this, then only that is your Loka. When that is not there, which is your Loka? You are not seeing, you are not hearing, you are not tasting, you are not smelling. If that is not there, which is your Loka? That highest consciousness. When you block all these Indriyas, not blocking actually, we bring this Indriyas into control to direct, earlier classes I have told how to direct it towards the mana to the antakarana to the Atma, then we attain the highest consciousness, whereby we create in this loka the experiences are the ones which is Maya. That's why it is known as Maya. These experiences, when it is created by the Indriyas, they invariably will create ego in us. They create ahankara in us. This ahankara should be immediately destroyed. It's a weed, Just put it somewhere, it will grow. No, it doesn't require any manure after that. It will grow by itself. The ahankara is like that. It doesn't require water, it doesn't require air, it will grow. Within 24 hours, it will be grown all over your body, all over your mind. No. You will be full of ego next day morning when you are getting up, swollen up with ego. If you don't destroy it at that moment immediately, hey Bhagavan, God, Ishvara, hey Bhagavan, because of your karuna, this has happened. Not eligible. It is only for my utility of my karma balas, nothing more than that. Please save me from getting that ego into me. Kuchela, that Sudama, and everything riches, when all the rich has been provided to him and he has big bungalow, big wealth, everything has been given. When then Krishna, then he prays to Lord, hey Lord, you have given me all these things, but I don't want all these things. I want one thing, please don't make me separate from you. Make me do your puja and your bhakti every moment that as I had been doing. Don't deprive me from that. This is the biggest gift that can give me. You have given me this Maya, this okay. Right? But see how he has absolutely came down to the earth. We say no, down to the earth. He came down to the earth saying that your bhakti is the biggest thing that is available. That is the one you don't deprive me of. You can deprive me of all these things that you have given to me. Everything. But don't deprive me of my bhakti towards you, my attachment to you, your karuna to me, your bhakti to me. This you should not deprive. This should be our aim, so that our ego, what does it mean actually? It means that ego, otherwise he would have become, no, dekho, my Krishna is my friend, he has given me all this, today I am, Bigger, the Raja has accepted him as no bigger than him, and I am bigger than him. What will happen? His ego will multiply, and one day he will forget Bhagavan. That's all. So he said, look, I know this. No? Brahma being the great knowledgeable person, he knew that these are all perishables. Hey, Bhagavan, don't make me, involved into these perishable activities and perishable material to create my ego unnecessarily. Give me permanency. What is permanency? My bhakti, my shraddha, my jnana towards you. Is the permanency. That permanent, from this impermanent to the permanent. Give me all this. What these perishables, don't try to attract me with all these things, is what he said. Look, what I am trying to tell you is that thousands of examples they have given in us in Puranas in different ways and different situations, telling us one meaning, that don't create this ego, so squash it and be thankful to that. Have that knowledge so that you attain the highest consciousness is the principle. Same thing I had been explaining in the last class as well as continued today. Incidentally, continue today about the, remember always the Dwarapalakas of Jaya Vijaya. That was very dangerous people. Okay? Right, now I will go to the 11th shloka. So I think that should be useful for us, for everyone, for that matter, in order to make oneself travel towards the right way of living, whether you become a saint or not, whether you are living in the normal life in the world, or whatever life you are leading. This principle is absolutely necessary. In whichever activity, whether you are in the Yavana, whether you are in Balya, Yavana, or in the Kaumara, or in Vardhakya, or in the Vanaprastha, or in Sannyasa, or in any stage of this is necessary. This particular principle and Tattva has to be applied in you. Even Tapasvis get Ahankara. Great Siddhas, great Ahankaris, they become. What's the use of the Siddhi then? Okay, so I hope we have done justice to that subject. Next, 11th shloka. Okay, 15 minutes is there. Hetu bhalashrayalambhanai sankrihitatvatadesham abhave tadbhava. Hetu bhalashrayalambhanai alambanam means dependency. Desires are held together by cause, phala, ashraya, cause and effect and support and objects, and when these disappear, so do the desires. Who is keeping this desire? Why these are all happening? All that what we have told, this class, previous class, everything is because of kama, that is desire. Kama. Kama is desire. That's why Bhagavan, when he opened his third eye, the knowledge is opened and the Kama Deva is made into ashes. It's not the, even though Puranas say that he became angry, Bhagavan did not get angry and open the third eye. And third eye we say it's the knowledge, center of knowledge. So when opening the third eye means opening the knowledge. What can destroy the Kama, desires? Knowledge only can destroy the Kama. Is the meaning of his third eye opening and the Kama Deva becoming into ashes. And when he became ashes, he took that ash and put it on forehead. Destruction of Kama, I have been successful because this is the success finished. After putting that, finished over. Kama has been suppressed. Kama has been, put as a ornament or adorned by that. That's all. It is only meant for that. It cannot penetrate into me. So, why we are creating this, all these things, what I said, Jaya Vijaya and this, that. ego, this, that, all that. The basis of all that is what? Desire. Basis of all this is kama. That kama deva, or the kama, has to be destroyed only by what? Only by knowledge, by third eye knowledge. That's why he said that acquiring knowledge through the Vedas, through the Upanishad, through the Guru, through the blessings, through the bhakti, through the shraddha. Like this, many ways have been given. You can attain whichever is suitable to you. So he says that here, desires are held together. Desires are held together. So many desires happen. They are held together by what are the ingredients? Cause. Karana Sharira. Effect. Alar. Karya, Karana they said. Cause and effect. Karana and Karya. Cause is Karana, effect is Karya. So Karana, Karya. Karya, Karana. In rhyme they say Karya, Karana. Effect and cause. Then support, ashraya, and objects. Objects are, and when these disappear, when all these things disappear, so do the desires. Desires are held. Desires are held together. That means the protector of the desire. So long we are talking about the desire. Who is the protector of these desires? How the desires have come? We said that desires are there. And you remember again, I repeat the same thing. Taittiriya Upanishad, I have explained about how we have created the first desire. From there only multiples have come. That is what he is also talking probably here. So the desires, the various desires that we have created through our number of janmas of our experiences and through our karmas, we have created multiples, thousands and thousands and crores of millions of desires in us, millions of them, small and big. And these desires are held together by Karya Karana, cause and effect, and support, ashraya. Through ashraya, these are all helping us. Karana is helping the desire. Because of Karana only, the desire has come. Because of Karya only, another desire. What is that Karana? Because of Karana, the Karya has come. Because you are born, you are doing the karma. Because of the karma, you have developed the desire. And because of you are born, you have desire. And because of your desire, you are doing the karma. See, it is a vicious circle. In different ways you can interpret it. Which one has come first? It will be a question again then. Whether the desire has come or the effect, karya has come. Or karana is the reason. Like this. That is why he said that the protectors or the support for the ego, they have to be supported. The desire alone cannot survive. It needs supporters, it needs anuyayis. So, cause and effect, karya, karana, and ashraya, dependency. That is another cause of creating desire. When we have too much of dependency on, not only on people, dependency on things, materials, objects. When we have dependency on materials, how the desire has come? Because I have a dependency, it's why the desire has come. If I have this, then I would do that. So I have a desire to get that. Is it not? So this is called the support or dependency, ashraya. Because of ashraya only we get desire. If there is no ashraya, normally there is a problem. If there is a pillar, then only you will feel like leaning on that. If there is no pillar, what to do? Stand there, erect, that's all. But the moment you see the pillar, you will have to stand. Ashraya. Because of that, a desire has come. What is a desire? I want little comfort. So one leg has got comfort for some time, then the other leg has got some leaning on that, some ashraya. Just jokingly said, but yes, this is ashraya. Dependency on the object, dependency on the material, dependency on something. If I get that, I will have this. If I have approached this, if I get this, I will have that. This has multiplied, or he was the protector of the desire. Now he created the desire. One is Karana. Karana is the reason for my birth, reason for my, I want to have the success in the education, a Karana. Because of that I have created desire. I want to earn money, so I have created this desire because I thought the Karana, through the money I will attain the happiness. So the Karana, that is a Karana for the desire to be created to earn money. So because that Karana, that money will, what is a Karana? Karana is the money will give me comfort. Is a Karana. Money will give me comfort is a Karana. This Karana has created multiple desires. What are they? One, I work hard and get money. I cheat somebody and get money. I do a business and get money. I steal and get money. Or I do this and get money. I do that and get money. I do this. See? What is the Karana? Karana is only this one word. Because of this money, I will get the happiness. From this, I have created number of desires. Am I correct? Got it? So because of Karana. So Karana is one who is a protector of the desires. Binding together with this one. So it's linked with that. See? So this Karana is the one which has created so many desires in me. So I choose the path whichever is found easy for me, or good for me, or right for me, and things like that. But everywhere there can be correction. How this desire? No, it's a very big chapter. Even though in 3 words it has been completed now. In each incident I have to explain thousands of things. Now I myself have told you, just for a reason, because that I will get comfort from the money, I have created this number of desires. Okay. Fine. It's not my mistake. Happened. TK, it has happened. Because of money I have acquired. How can I stop this? That also should be there. How can I, this Karana Sharira, or the Karana that has been created for this, in this particular incident, I created a wealth. Wealth will give me comfort. And I have created all this Karana. How can I get rid of it? What is the method to create it? You said that, don't create Jaya Vijaya and then you will attain the higher consciousness. How can I get higher consciousness when this is there? How can I get rid of this particular thing? This can be. Why did you think that money can give you comfort? Because, what is that? It's an imagination of your mind. It's not proved that money can give comfort. Nobody has proved it. And it has been a proven fact that money doesn't give comfort. Money alone doesn't give comfort. Okay, it's in association with something. Money alone wealth doesn't give comfort. It can give thousands of discomforts, in fact. So, how can I get rid of it? What is the reason why I have created this cause in me that wealth can give me comfort? So I have gone into all these things. How can I get rid of it? You can get rid of it. What is the reason? The reason is because you should understand that wealth will give me comfort is my imagination. Because wealth is not there, I am thinking that wealth will give me comfort. But is it necessary that it should give me comfort? I have not asked. Only my mind has told, my imagination has told, because mind has created multiple thoughts and I have told that if wealth comes, you will be comfortable. Because you will buy this, you will buy that, you will buy this. But he has never told anything else, anything negative. He has only multiplied in the negative way, saying that you will all have all the comforts when you have, what he says? When you have wealth, all the comforts you will have. Naturally, you have gone by the thought, by the imagination, you followed that ashraya on that, dependency on that. Got it? Ashraya on that, because of the cause has created a desire. In that desire, you have a dependency, ashraya on that. because you have got the ashraya in that, karya, effectiveness has taken place. That means you started doing this. You got that. Karya, karana and support. Because of that, you started doing various things, unwanted things, to acquire wealth. Throughout life you acquired wealth. Yes. Then object. The object, only objects, and either it is objective, another is object. The objective is lost and the object is lost. Now, how can I come out of it? It is because of my imagination that will give me comfort, is the reason why I did all that. Let me tell you. So, what's the cause? The cause is because of ignorance. I could not think another alternative that which can give me comfort. It is not only wealth that can give you comfort. Have I got anything else? Wealth has got so many problems to be acquired. So have I got anything alternative towards that in order to get me comfort? You have never asked that. Did you ask? No. You just have dependency on that and you went into the function of that, effectiveness of that. Had you asked, either you have to ask yourself. Since you cannot ask yourself, you may have to depend on somebody else who will tell you that what you are thinking is wrong. Is it not? Either of this. Either you understand or you have to depend on somebody to understand and he will tell you what you are thinking is wrong. You have another way. Now stop this. It's only imagination. It may not give you all the happiness. Then what is the next way? Acquire jnanam, acquire bhakti, acquire Ishvara pranidhanam. It will give you all the happiness, that's all, including the wealth. Wealth is only a very tiny part of happiness that can give. I don't say it will not give happiness. It gives happiness. But it gives happiness only. What is the percentage of happiness wealth can give? Probably a very small percentage. The whole peace of mind, absolute knowledge and everything. When you acquire this through jnanam, through bhakti, through ashirvadam, through learning, through all these things, dedication and devotion, what you get? You gain absolute happiness. Absolute happiness. That means attainment of the Parabrahman is the absolute happiness. You gain the absolute happiness. When you look at that absolute happiness, you will find that the wealth that you were desiring for is not even as measurable as a mustard seed. It will be as small as that. So you have an alternative. What is that? This is the reason. So how to kill that? How to destroy it? How to destroy that ego? How to destroy that impact of the desire, which is protected by cause, effect, support and objects? Acquiring the knowledge. And how to do it? We will continue with this sloka in the next class. I have just started. We will continue with this sloka. Okay, 11th. Very important sloka. Om Shanti Shambho Mahadev.